Form I-129F, explained. A guide to the timeline, cost, and requirements to file the petition for alien fiancé Form I-129F. What is Form I-129F? Form I-129F, Petition for Alien Fiancé E, is the first step towards a K-1 visa for the fiancé of a U.S. citizen or a K-3 visa for the spouse of a U.S. citizen. If you're engaged to a U.S. citizen, you can use the K-1 visa to enter the U.S. if you plan on getting married within 90 days of your arrival. If you're the spouse of a U.S. citizen, you can use the K-3 visa to enter the U.S. while you're waiting for your green card to be processed. For both of these visas, you will need to file Form I-129F to start the process. Form I-129F processing times. According to USCIS, the processing time for Form I-129F at the Dallas lockbox is 10 to 13 months as of July 2021. You can use the tool provided by USCIS to check processing times. To make sure your form gets processed as quickly as possible, however, you should make sure all the key information about you and the person being sponsored is filled out correctly. Form I-129F to Green Card Timeline. Once your Form I-129F petition has been approved, the sponsored fiancé or spouse will then need to apply for their visa, attend an interview, and enter the U.S. before they can apply for a green card. In the case of a K-1 visa, once the visa is approved, they will need to enter the U.S. within 6 months, and the couple must get married within 90 days. The sponsored fiancé, now considered the spouse of a U.S. citizen, will then need to file Form I-485, application to register permanent residence or to adjust status, so they can start their spousal green card application, which can take anywhere from a few months to a few years to process. If you filed Form I-129F to get a K-3 visa so your spouse can enter the U.S. and apply for a green card, it might be more convenient to directly apply for a green card through consular processing. Not only does it take the same amount of time to process, it would also allow your spouse to start working straight away when they arrive in the U.S., without the need to apply for a work permit. Applying directly would also save the extra step and expenses on the journey towards a marriage green card. Expedited processing for Form I-129F. Premium processing is not available for Form I-129F, but you may be able to make an expedite request through the USCIS contact center with your 13-digit USCIS case receipt number. USCIS considers each request on a case-by-case basis, and you will need to have documentation to support the reason you're asking for expedited processing. Form I-129F cost. The government filing fee for Form I-129F is $535. If you're filing Form I-129F to petition for the spouse of a U.S. citizen to enter on a K-3 visa, however, then that fee is waived. Eligibility. Who can file Form I-129F? You can file Form I-129F if you are a U.S. citizen petitioning for either your fiancé to enter the U.S. for your marriage, and you have met your fiancé in person in the last 2 years. You can also file this form if you're a U.S. citizen petitioning for your spouse to enter the U.S., and USCIS has already approved Form I-130, Petition for Alien Relative, for them to start their green card application. Who cannot file Form I-129F? Because only U.S. citizens can file Form I-129F. If you are a green card holder, you won't be able to file Form I-129F for your fiancé or spouse. If you are a green card holder who is already married, you can petition for your spouse's entry as the first step in the green card process. Supporting documents. When you file Form I-129F, you will need to include supporting documents to prove your identity and your relationship with your fiancé or spouse. These documents may include proof that you are a U.S. citizen, either through a copy of your birth certificate, naturalization, or citizenship certificate, a copy of an unexpired passport, one color photograph, passport style, of both yourself and your fiancé, taken within 30 days of filing, proof of legal name change if you've changed your name in the past. If you or your fiancé have previously been married, you'll also need to show proof the marriage has been terminated, for example, with a divorce decree or annulment order. If you're petitioning for your fiancé to enter on a K-1 visa, you should also include the following. Proof that you and your fiancé intend to marry within 90 days after they arrive in the U.S. Proof you have met each other in person within 2 years of filing Form I-129F. If you haven't met each other in person, you'll need to send proof of why you haven't been able to meet. For example, if meeting each other would have violated strict, long-established cultural customs. If you're petitioning for your spouse to enter under K-free status, you should include the following. A copy of the receipt notice from USCIS, Form I-797C, Notice of Action. You should have received this as a response to filing Form I-130, Petition for Alien Relative, on behalf of your spouse. Proof of your marriage, for example, a marriage certificate.